Hello students, welcome to Educating Everyone channel. Are you waiting for Ph.D. admission? Then here is a good news for you. Recently, Telangana State Council of Higher Education conducted a meeting with the newly appointed Vice Chancellors. So in the meeting, there was a great decision, and of course, it is not only it's a radical decision taken by the Council, that is conducting a Ph.D. common entrance test or a combined Ph.D. entrance test in our Telangana state among the 6 universities. So really this radical change is going to bring a great reformation in higher education in our Telangana state. So dear students, really we need to appreciate the Council of Higher Education for taking this radical and bold initiation, because in the meeting they were also decided to constitute a committee. The committee is going to prepare guidelines based on the UGC guidelines. Now, for the time being, if you understand the background for taking this radical decision, the combined PhD entrance test, so there are many things coming to the light. Now just we'll look at why this radical change. In my observation, in my point of view, there is a delay in the thesis submission among the scholars for the past many years. You know the duration of the PhD course, it's generally from 3 to 5 years. Sometimes it will be given an extension of the 1 year or 2 years. But of recently, it went to the 8 and 9 years, in some cases 10 years also. So this delay leads to many interested students, they lose their caliber to do the research. So to avoid this delay in thesis submission, I believe and I hope that this combined PhD entrance test will bring some changes. And if you look at the second reason, for the time being, there is a downfall in higher education standards also. Because in research recommendations, in research output, it's coming out very late. So that automatically leads to the downfall in higher education standards. So to bring many changes, reforms at a higher education level, it depends on the research output. So when there is a delay in the research submission and delay, that leads to the downfall in the standards. So this may be one reason, I think. Then when we look at the third point, that is direct admissions or the transparent admissions, because the central universities generally they adopt a fairly transparent method in the PhD admission process. They adopt a process like this. Generally after the entrance exam, they upload the OMR sheet of the students entrance exam, and even they upload also marks also. But in the state universities, it is not happening. So this decision is going to bring a transparency in the PhD admission process. Now, if you look at the fourth point, that is non-serious scholars. As we discussed in the past point, that is delay in the thesis submission. So students who are getting into these PhD programs, there are various reasons for taking admission into PhD. Some think if they get into the PhD program, 5 to 7 years they can stay in universities. So they can work for some other reasons. They look for some other reasons, some other ways. So these non-serious scholars are the students making others to lose opportunities to get into the research. And we all know the last one, that is recommendations and the representations. We know that at the time of the PhD admissions, people come with the recommendations, maybe various kinds of the recommendations and the representations. Really, this is a reason that is making lot of headache to the university administrators, especially deans and the heads of the departments are facing lots of the problems with the recommendations and the representations. So students, I feel, so these may be the reasons for taking this great decision. So if we look at what might be the advantages, if the government of the Telangana is going to implement the PhD common entrance test, what are the advantages students will get? If you look at the first advantages, which is going to save the time of the students, because generally in the previous years each university was giving PhD notification individually, so that leads to that takes sometimes 1 year duration, in some cases 2 years also. So if these 6 universities are going to be the part of this PhD combined entrance test, that really saves the time of the students, because if student appear for one time, that is applicable to the all the universities. Now if you look at the second advantage, that is saves money, because in each university at the time of the notification they prescribe a particular fee for the application submission. So with this combined PhD entrance test, we can avoid the money. You need not to pay the money for each and every individual notification. So one time payment is applicable to all the universities. Really this is a great beneficial to the students. And coming to the third point, that is less competition. Earlier, if you are applied for one, you are maybe in that particular area, many students will come, many scholars may come and they apply. So here there is an advantage with this combined university, combined PhD entrance test, that is, so students have the scope to apply any university. They can compete to the any university. So this is where we can also expect the less competition among the students, and this is also leads to the more opportunities. How? Because students can select any university and they can also go for the good research facilitated institutions. So as I discussed in the beginning, that is which saves time, money, and it is also going to provide many opportunities to visit different universities, to meet different academicians. So really this PhD common entrance test is going to provide many opportunities to the students. And finally, as we discussed earlier, this is it is going to bring transparency in the process. Generally, we have discussed how the central universities adopt a fairly transparent method. This is going to be implemented even in the state universities also. So dear students, it's a great decision, so we need to appreciate it. Dear students, as I discussed earlier, there is going to be a committee constituted by the Telangana State Council of Higher Education. So this is the order of the recently constituted committee for conducting PhD common entrance test among the 6 universities in our state. So there was a minute which was taken by the Vice Chancellors of the 6 universities in the meeting which was held on the 1st July 2021. So really we need to appreciate the Council of Higher Education for taking and speeding up the process for the PhD common entrance test. The Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, has constituted a committee with the following members: Professor R. Limbadri, Vice Chairman, Telangana State Council of Higher Education, and Professor V. Venkataratnam, Vice Chairman to Telangana State Council of Higher Education, and Professor D. Ravinder, Vice Chancellor, Usman University, Hyderabad, and Professor T. Ramesh, Vice Chancellor, Kakati University, Warangal, Professor C.H. Gopal Reddy, Vice Chancellor, Mahatma Gandhi University, Nalgonda, Professor G.B. Reddy, Director, Professor G. Ram Reddy Center for Distance Education, Usman University, Hyderabad. So this committee were allowed to submit or instructed to submit the date. There is a fixed date to submit the guidelines, the report, that is just a couple of weeks, fortnight. So let us hopeful and let us see very soon we are going to get the combined entrance test in our state. So if the committees at the earliest they submit the report, so we can also expect. So students, get ready and prepare well for the upcoming PhD common entrance test, and all the best for your career. Thank you and keep watching for more updates.